Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I'm Rose Papa Angeles in Washington. It's Saturday, December 24, 2022, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with a bomb cyclone upending thousands of holiday plans across the country. More than 2,200 flights are canceled across the United States. A massive winter storm is disrupting holiday travel plans for thousands in the country. The storm brings with a triple threat of heavy snow, howling winds, and bitter cold. At least 5 U.S. states have already implemented emergency plans. These are Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, Georgia, and North Carolina. Others are likely to follow. The worst of the Arctic blast is making its way. U.S. President Joe Biden warns Americans this storm is serious stuff.
It's not like a snow day, when you're a kid. This is serious stuff. And my team is prepared to help communities weather this, no pun intended, this storm. Please take this storm extremely seriously. And I don't know whether your boss will let you, but if you all have travel plans, leave now. Not a joke.
Blinding whiteouts and hazardous road conditions paralyzed parts of the country slammed by a dangerous cold front. According to flight tracker Flight Aware, beyond the cancellations, close to 7,000 other flights within, into, or out of the U.S. are delayed. In other news, G7 foreign ministers say the Taliban's treatment of women and girls in Afghanistan may amount to a crime against humanity. The ministers demand the ban on women attending university be reversed. They say Taliban policies designed to erase women from public life will have consequences for how G7 countries engage with the Taliban. Afghanistan's Taliban rulers have drawn global outrage with their announcement this week banning women from higher education. This, after promising a softer rule when they returned to power last year. The hardline Islamists have already barred girls from attending secondary schools in March. The G7 ministers demand that both decisions be reversed without delay. The G7 consists of Britain, Canada, Italy, France, Germany, Japan, and the United States. In Canada, earlier this week, a tragic condominium shooting left 6 people dead. These include the gunman who was also a resident in the building. Yolanda Aspiras reports.
A deadly shooting took place Sunday night at a condominium building in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. As of Monday afternoon, 6 people are dead, including the gunman who has been identified as 73-year-old man Francesco Villi. The shooter was also a resident in the building, and so were the victims he shot and murdered. The shooter was fatally shot by a police officer. The active shooting was reported at around 7 p.m. on Sunday at the condominium on Jane Street and Rutherford Road. It's confirmed that the shooter used a semi-automatic handgun, but officials could not say whether it was legally purchased. Victims were found on multiple floors of the building. Details of this deadly tragedy are still unfolding, and more information will be relayed as investigations are conducted by the York Regional Police and the Special Investigations Unit. Yolanda Aspiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Reports say that the gunman had a long and ongoing dispute with the condominium board. Police say 3 of the victims were members of the apartment complex's board. In other news, 7 out of 10 countries say they do not have enough funding to implement safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene plans and strategies. The World Health Organization says this warrants immediate and accelerated action. Russell Feria reports.
The World Health Organization is calling on countries and communities for urgent action to ensure safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene for millions of people. Findings in a report by WHO and UN Water reveal that acceleration is needed in many countries to reach the UN Sustainable Goal 6 or SDG 6. SDG 6 means water and sanitation for all by 2030. WHO says only 4 out of 10 countries are on their way to achieve drinking water coverage targets, and only 1 in 4 countries are on track to achieve their national sanitation targets. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says the world is facing an urgent crisis. Dr. Tedros calls on leaders and partners to strengthen their country's drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene services. UN Water warns that the world is seriously off track to achieve SDG 6 on water and sanitation for all by 2030. UN Water says this leaves billions of people exposed to infectious diseases, especially in the aftermath of disasters, including climate-related events. LifeWater.org reports that the top 5 countries without clean water are Ethiopia, Papua New Guinea, the Republic of Chad, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
With the winter storm paralyzing cities and roads in several states this weekend, here are some tips to avoid or deal with cold weather injuries waiting to happen in case you get stuck out there. Carlo Valdez on Health is Wealth.
Winter weather and the very cold temperatures it brings may cause 2 dangerous but preventable conditions: hypothermia and frostbite. CDC says hypothermia is caused by prolonged exposures to very cold temperatures that eventually use up your body's stored energy. This leads to lower body temperature that affects the brain, making the victim unable to think clearly or move well. Signs of hypothermia include shivering, confusion, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. If not able to get medical help right away, the health agency recommends trying to warm the person up. Get the person into a warm room or shelter. Remove any wet clothing the person is wearing. Warm the center of the person's body, chest, neck, head, and groin using a warm blanket if available. Skin-to-skin contact under loose, dry layers of blankets, clothing, towels, or sheets will also help. Meanwhile, frostbite is a type of injury caused by freezing. It leads to a loss of feeling and color in the areas it affects. Areas are usually extremities such as the nose, ears, cheeks, chin, fingers, and toes. If immediate medical care is unavailable, you can help someone experiencing frostbite by also getting the person into a warm room as soon as possible, not letting the person walk on feet or toes that show signs of frostbite because this increases the damage, not rubbing or massaging the frostbitten area with snow. You can also put the areas affected by frostbite in warm, not hot, water. If warm water is not available, warm the affected areas using body heat like an armpit to warm frostbitten fingers. Because affected areas are numb and can easily burn, you should not use a heating pad, heat lamp, or the heat of a stove, fireplace, or radiator for warming. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, says being prepared is the best defense against having to deal with extremely cold weather. Knowing what to do is an important part of protecting one's health and that of others. Carlo Valdez, Union, New Jersey. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The national standards for heavy-duty vehicles or trucks have been updated. The updates aim to eliminate dangerous pollution. They also aim to move closer toward the country's goal of having a zero-emissions future. Melissa Potes has the details.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, finalizes national clean air standards to cut smog and soot-forming emissions from heavy-duty trucks. EPA calls these standards, which begin with model year 2027, the strongest ever. This is the first update to clean air standards for heavy-duty trucks in more than 20 years. EPA says the new standards are more than 80% stronger than current ones. The final standards will reduce deadly smog and soot from new heavy-duty trucks. The agency predicts that by 2045, the Clean Trucks Plan will result in, but not limited to, up to 2,900 fewer premature deaths, 6,700 fewer hospital admissions and emergency department visits, 18,000 fewer cases of childhood asthma, 78,000 fewer lost days of work, and 1.1 million fewer lost school days for children. EPA says this is just the first action under EPA's Clean Trucks Plan to pave the way toward a zero-emission future. At present, an estimated 72 million people live near truck freight routes in America. This number includes the country's most vulnerable populations in historically overburdened communities. Melissa Potas, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
$9.5 million in grants are being invested in developing new bioproducts. These bioproducts will come from agricultural commodities in the country. In New York, Abigail Dumlao tells us more.
The USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture, or NIFA's Bioproduct Pilot Program, will be funding 3 projects. The funding of $9.5 million will be for research and development of value-added products from agricultural commodities. The 3 awardees are the Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Soleil Innovations of Ames, Iowa. Projects to be funded include one that proposes to convert food waste into biodegradable plastics that can be used for a variety of consumer plastics. Another proposes to convert swine manure and other organic feedstocks into biobinders for asphalt that increase the quality of recycled asphalt pavements. And a project that proposes to transform high oleic soybean oil into thermoplastic rubber for pavements. U.S. Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack says adopting a more circular economy ensures that wealth and other economic benefits in the form of jobs and other opportunities are created and stay in rural communities. Vilsack urges to support and incentivize practices like the said projects. He says these are what consumers want and what the planet needs. Abigail Dumlao, Rochester, New York, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Feeling chilly this winter? Let's warm up in the sunny Isles of the Caribbean. Jane Kathleen Gregorio takes us on a journey to Nassau, Bahamas. Let's meet local residents, shop unique stores, and sample the authentic cuisine of the tropics. Here's Adventure Awaits.
Our story today brings us to the streets of Nassau, Bahamas.
As the capital of the Bahamas, Nassau is the largest city and sits on New Providence Island, where 70% of the Bahamanian population currently resides. Having the largest port, Nassau is a popular cruise ship stop and is known for its beaches, tourist attractions, and its trademark pastel-colored British colonial buildings and pink government house.
So far, the government is doing an excellent job so far. Our Prime Minister is doing an excellent job. He opened back up the country so far, get good jobs. People getting jobs back right now. We're trying to get back the economy back on track. Things are building back up. I wouldn't say Nassau is better than the other islands. We have other family islands, and you know, Nassau is one of the beauties. This is the capital. But when you go through all the Bahama islands and see, you see more natural resources, natural beauty. Every island has a different vibe, what we call a vibe. Different entity, different atmosphere. Nassau just different. Anybody who wants to live in the Bahamas, because we have everything that people would dream of. The beaches, the sun. We don't have no snow, we just have a bunch of sun. And our people are just friendly, nice, warm and cozy.
Nassau, as you can see, is a developing island, and we have a little of everything here in Nassau town. But you can see the Dasher Garden, go to Atlantis, or you can go to the Fish Fry and eat some nice Bahama food. We're just waiting for you. Come on down and see us, the Bahamian people in the Bahamas, live. Thank you very much, sister. Live.
Just a few blocks walking distance from the cruise ship ports is the area known as Prince George Arcade, lined with vendors offering handcrafted souvenirs, arts, and even custom hair braids, as well as high-end boutiques selling couture clothing and jewelry.
We have a lot of art and craft stuff here. We made especially by hand, all right? And we have a lot of nice prices in here, you know? We're just happy to have the tourists come in and enjoy themselves and enjoy our products.
Don't forget to stop at Rare Finds Boutique in Prince George Arcade.
For those seeking local cuisine, Bahamian Cooking Restaurant offers a traditional taste of the tropics.
The name of the restaurant is called Bahamian Cooking. We try to do all Bahamian food, so everything that we do is from the Bahamian culture. It's basically what you would eat at your own home.
So right now we are going to try a local favorite, which are peas and rice and a conch chowder soup.
The rice is very flavorful, has a little bit of a kick. Similar to Spanish rice, but different flavors, different spices, and it's very good, very, very good. So this is the conch soup. It's almost like a bisque. Let's see. That is very good. Tastes like comfort food. Very, very delicious.
So this dessert is called guava duff, and it's made with guavas. It has so most desserts are baked. This one is cooked. So it's wrapped in a cloth. It's cooked, and what you end up with is basically this pastry that melts in your mouth. It's infused with the guava, and one of the best desserts you'll ever eat.
Good. It's a little bit of the tropical in it, maybe like a bread pudding similar, but with a lot more of an explosion of flavor. Very, very good.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News, Nassau, Bahamas.
We live in extraordinary times.
Eagle News friend Arthur in Hawaii shares with us his step-by-step guide to making a perfect winter comfort food. It's called Wakame and Miso Udon. Watch closely and prepare your taste buds. Here's Behind the Counter.
Like the sesame skin. Almost there. There you go. There you go.
Before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is part of the Gorge Park in Croton-On-Hudson in New York. The area is frequented for sightseeing and hiking. Lovely. Thank you, Noah Edralin, for that beautiful shot. And thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basayahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Kui. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and Friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am Rose Papa Angeles. We'll live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone!